Next presentation, presented by the two experts from Estonian side. First, Ms. REELIKA RUNNEL, advisor to Secretary General of the Government Nuclear Energy Working Group. And then Mr. T. Numeroje, Project Director from Fermi Energy. Their presentation title is the current status of the challenges of the nuclear power program in Estonia. Okay, REELIKA.
Thank you very much and good morning to everybody. I am REELIKA RUNNEL. I am advisor to Secretary General, the Ministry of Environment, just like Mr. Kishida introduced me. And I'm the coordinator of Estonian Nuclear Energy Working Group, which means that I am the person who is responsible for composing the final comprehensive report of the National Nuclear Energy Working Group and presenting it to the government and later on to the parliament. Just like the chair of the working group, Mr. Meelis Münt, and His Excellency Ambassador Matsumura actually summarized in their opening remarks, Estonia has already, for slightly more than 2 years, analyzed the feasibility of using nuclear energy in Estonia in a form of small modular reactors. And for that purpose, in April 2021, our National Nuclear Energy Working Group was formed with a mandate received from the government. The composition of this working group is it's an interministerial working group with high representatives from almost all of the ministries in Estonia and relevant authorities responsible for nuclear safety and radiation protection in general in Estonia. Due to the government reform from the 1st of July, the composition and chairmanship of this nuclear energy working group will change slightly. But I believe that those key experts will remain in the composition of the working group. So we'll continue as planned. The nuclear energy working group is tasked to explore the possibilities for using nuclear energy in Estonia in order to achieve our climate targets and ensure the security of supply. In September, we presented our interim report to the government, which was a mapping of our current situation in Estonia regarding nuclear energy. And it was kind of like a gap analysis. Final comprehensive report, which is going to be based on the International Atomic Energy Agency's milestones document and covers all 19 nuclear infrastructure matters, is due by the end of this year. So after the government receives the final report at the end of the year, it is passed on for decision-making to the parliament, or Estonia Riigikogu. Since this is a very long-term commitment that Estonia is considering at the moment, it has to withstand the change of governments. That's the reason why it has to be validated, and this decision in principle regarding nuclear energy has to be adopted by the parliament. Currently, we cannot predict how long this procedure will take in the parliament, but we're hoping that the decision in principle is adopted within the first half of 2024. If the decision is negative towards nuclear energy and our able decision makers find that there are other opportunities for Estonia to achieve our 2050 climate targets and ensure energy security and security of supply, then, as Mr. Munt mentioned in his opening remarks, it was a nice exercise, and there are no follow-up actions, at least for a while, because currently this is not a first time when Estonia has a nuclear ambition and we are considering nuclear energy. But previously we have hoped that we will find other ways. But now again, we have returned to the nuclear option and we're analyzing it once again. If the decision is positive, then follow-up actions will take place, and we will start preparations that are necessary from the government's perspective in order to start using nuclear energy, hopefully by 2035 or around that period. Since Estonia has no prior experience with this type of energy, these preparations need time. Especially time-consuming is capacity building and building up a competent regulatory authority. Another important question is whether we have potentially suitable sites in Estonia where we could consider constructing a nuclear power plant and later on to construct the final disposal facility for spent fuel. In order to receive an answer to that pressing issue, the sub-working group on spatial planning was formed in the beginning of last year, and this sub-working group consisted of more of an expert level representatives of different ministries and authorities, and also already engaged the relevant stakeholders. For example, Estonian Chamber of Environmental Associations and Association of Estonian Cities and Municipalities, so that environmentalists and municipalities would be already engaged in this process. As a result of the sub-working group's analysis, in cooperation with the Engineering Bureau and International Nuclear Expert, there were actually 15 potentially suitable areas identified in Estonia, where it could be potentially feasible to construct a nuclear power plant in the future. Actually, there were 16 areas, but one was excluded, bearing in mind national security reasons. That the decision was made by Ministry of Defense. And from the remaining 15, it was identified that in 4 potential areas, constructing a nuclear power plant would have a major regional development effect. When constructing a power plant there to Varbla, Loksa, Kunda or Toila area would help those areas the most, bearing in mind this regional development and economical aspects. In the beginning of May, we actually started a tour in those locations where we are meeting with the local residents, representatives of the local municipalities, and introduce the government's plans regarding nuclear energy and where we stand at the moment. And we explain the reasoning behind that why those areas were selected and what are the follow-up activities. Actually, just yesterday, we were in Varbla area, in the western coast of Estonia, and for them, the news of a potential nuclear power plant in their area came out of the blue, and it was a complete surprise for them, and that's why the local residents' interest was tremendous, actually. But so far, all the meetings that we have had have been in a very constructive atmosphere, and we have had an invaluable opportunity to engage with those local residents and address their concerns and answer their questions regarding this nuclear ambition. And as one very wise and old man yesterday put it, they see that the site selection procedure is like a preparation for marriage. So first, you express interest, and then the dating period will follow. After that, the true love is expressed, and then you enter into a marriage. And as he put it, I see that probably during this process, our Varbla area is looking sadly as an abandoned bride when this nuclear power plant enters into a marriage with someone from the north coast. Because they realize that, considering all those facts, it's not probably going to happen for them. But he put it very nicely, comparing the site selection with this marriage proposal preparation. Another important topic is national security and emergency preparedness. Those topics especially emerged after the war in Ukraine that started last year on Estonian Independence Day on 24th of February. And this was then when our power authorities started to engage more and think about it. What if? What if something like that will hit Estonia? How can we ensure that our nuclear power plant is safe? How well we would be prepared for the potential emergency situations? And that's why the sub-working group on nuclear security and emergency preparedness was formed early this spring under the leadership of Minister of Interior. And we are analyzing those potential development needs and means necessary to ensure the security and to be ready for potential emergencies. Actually, we are at the final line with our analyses and studies regarding composing this final comprehensive report. And we are conducting on a regular basis public service among members of the public regarding their views on nuclear energy. And we have also mandated a law firm to already compose a draft nuclear law. And recently we also received human resources development strategy and mapping of the potential regulatory framework. Now, speaking about this public survey, just like Meelis already mentioned, as 60% of the respondents in the spring are in favor of nuclear energy in Estonia. Last year, it was 59%, so we have gained additional 1% support. But I'm really glad that actually the number of firm supporters has been on a rise. And the number of people who have no opinion regarding nuclear energy has become smaller. The results of this regulatory framework mapping, and actually the lack of competences and the fear that we are not able to regulate this nuclear power was also one of those fears among responders of our public survey, that the members of the public are a little bit concerned of our capabilities of regulating nuclear energy. But the results of this regulatory framework mapping showed that we would need additionally around 60 people for the regulatory authority that is created as an independent regulatory authority in Estonia in the future if we decide to start using nuclear energy. At first, the number is smaller. At the peak time, when the construction is developing, it's a bit bigger. But after that, it should remain around 60 people. And not everyone has to be a nuclear engineer in the regulator authority, and that either this number is together with supporting staff, like public relations, human resources development, legal department, etc. So around 30 highly qualified specialists are needed, and for that purpose. And in order to receive this expertise, strong international cooperation is necessary. Before our government receives this final comprehensive report at the end of the year, we will actually host an International Atomic Energy Agency's INIR mission in October. So its INIR mission its goal is to review our nuclear infrastructure development status and to compare it with this milestones guidance document, that how well we have analyzed all those aspects that are necessary in order to adopt a knowledge-based and an informed decision regarding nuclear energy. So the government will already receive this final comprehensive report together with recommendations from the IAEA. Estonia is actually the first country in the world to host this kind of a mission for small modular reactors. So we are setting a precedence and a role model for other countries. And as I mentioned, like strong international cooperation is relevant for capacity building and for gaining like expertise and knowledge. And just like it was mentioned by Mr. Matsumura and Mr. Meelis-Münt, that we are relying on international cooperation opportunities, and we are very grateful to Japan, to Japanese government and industry, that they are willing and ready to share their expertise and experience with a country like Estonia. In addition, we are cooperating with our northern neighbors in Finland, with STUK, their nuclear regulator authority. We are participating in the US Department of State FIRST program, which is meant for SMR capacity building, and through that we're cooperating also with Japan. Actually, last year we had the site selection training course that actually was conducted by Japanese experts. And on Monday, on 29th of May, Environmental Board and Canadian Nuclear Safety Commission are signing a memorandum of understanding to enable our specialists to follow the licensing procedure of GE Hitachi's BRIX 300 in Canada, in Darlington. So we would have a chance to learn from their first-hand experience. So this concludes my presentation. Thank you very much. Arigatou gozaimasu.
So we can save the question for the REELIKA-san. Are there any question, comment? Yeah.
Thank you for the presentation. In terms of the future, how does the working group thinks? Should Estonia has a singular capacity, singular plants, or there will be room for more than one nuclear plants?
At the moment, we are analyzing the potential of having one nuclear power plant in one location or on one site, but there could be several reactors. So according to our site selection survey, we're considering up to 4 reactors, up to 1,200 megawatts in one site. But if the first power plant is already built and there is an interest and need in the future to have more in different locations, then this is something that worth considering, that this is for the future. Currently, we are basing our service that this is going to be a one nuclear power plant, potentially with several reactors in one location. Thank you.
So, any other comment, questions, especially Japanese side? Yeah. Mogai-san.
Thank you for your presentation. My name is Mamoru Kumagai. I'd like to confirm the result of site selection. My question is, do the result include not only candidate of nuclear power plant, but also disposal site of spent fuel? Is it right?
Yes, we explored the potential of constructing spent fuel disposal facility, preferably at the same location where the nuclear power plant site is going to be. But I would like to clear that at the moment we don't have any candidate sites with just mapped potentially suitable areas. And this will be the follow-up procedure to identify those candidate sites, and then the final, the site selection procedure will follow. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
So, any other comments, question? No? Okay, thank you, Rick.